one of the kind of more interesting stories, as we've hit on in the past few weeks, has been slow play. And I found it very interesting this weekend. One of the bigger announcements coming from LPGA Tour was Lucy Lee was fined an undisclosed amount of money for slow play. So it seems like one out of the 4 tours are actually doing something about this issue. And it's kind of interesting that it's the LPGA Tour.
Well, the LPGA Tour's had a record for enforcing their pace of play rules. I mean, this isn't the first time they fined or penalized a player for that. And I think that's what comes back to what we've said in weeks past about how PGA Tour, if they're not going to enforce their pace of play rules, just forget them.
Mm-hmm.
Why even worry about it?
Well, it's kind of like the playoff this weekend for the senior tour, over 6 hours for a round of golf.
Yeah,
I mean,
and that's the thing. We alluded on it on the other podcast, other episode, that the longer the rounds are, the more TV viewership there is. It's only going to be beneficial to the tour.
If any tour should be able to play fast, it should be the Champions Tour. I mean, they're all riding in golf carts.
And no one's watching. Sorry.
Right.
No, we still definitely watch a few of their events. But the LPGA has always, at times we've seen in the Lexi controversies, they've always been on the forefront of like assessing that penalty, right? Maybe sometimes a little too brutal with it. And then we have the PGA Tour on the other hand that doesn't enforce penalties at all.
I mean, they are afraid to penalize a player.
Yeah. And the thing is too, if you do a deeper dive in a lot of these LPGA players, they're not playing for a lot of money. So for them to get fined just speaks the LPGA Tour isn't messing around.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the PGA Tour has more money to know what to do with. The players have more money to know what to do with. Like, just find your players.
Okay, let's be clear. The LPGA Tour is still playing for a lot of money.
Oh,
it's
yes.
just not anywhere near as
Anywhere
much as
near.
PGA Tour.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think that's something that if we want to see progress in golf, I think it'd be kind of honorary for the PGA Tour to kind of take some cliff notes from LPGA in order to address this issue.
Yeah, and the nice thing about this past week with the PGA Tour being at the Zurich Classic and it being a 2-man team event, players are a little more relaxed. So, the player interviews were interesting this week because they immediately asked Patrick Cantlay, and Patrick Cantlay says, the PGA Tour already told us they're not going to enforce pace of play. I'm going to play as slow as I want. Yeah. I don't care. Which you can't, even though we as viewers, because I was the first to say watching the Masters was brutal with how slow it is, you can't blame them.
All right, that's what I get at. I mean, if the PGA Tour has said they're not going to enforce the rule doesn't really exist, why does it matter? It's just one of those things where a reporter or someone has picked up on this person's slow and it gives them something to talk about. Yeah,
so, I mean, unless it becomes like something that pops up in an actual tournament, can we officially say that pace of play on the mid side of the game is dead?